Somewhere in the world, a honeybee is about to sting someone for the very last time. Because the moment it drives that stinger into you, it dies. And yet evolution kept this weapon for millions of years. That tells you something, but here is the question nobody asks. Why does it hurt so much? A bee is tiny. Its stinger is barely a millimeter wide. So what exactly is happening inside your body, and why does that pain feel so out of proportion to the size of the animal? The answer goes deeper than you think, down to the level of your nerves, your immune system, and a venom so precisely engineered it targets your body in 3 separate ways at once. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you will never look at a bee sting the same way again. Let's start with the stinger, because it is not just a needle. A honeybee stinger has barbs, tiny backward-facing hooks along the shaft like a harpoon. When the bee drives it into your skin, those barbs catch. They lock in. And when the bee tries to pull away, it cannot. The stinger tears free from the bee's abdomen, taking part of its digestive system with it. The bee flies away dying, but the stinger stays behind and it keeps pumping. This is critical. The venom sac attached to the stinger continues to contract for up to a minute after it has been left in your skin. The longer it stays in, the more venom gets delivered, which is why every second counts if you want to minimize the dose. Doctors say, scrape it out sideways, never pinch and pull. Pinching squeezes the sac and forces more venom in. Here is where things get genuinely strange. Bee venom is not one poison. It is a cocktail, a precisely layered attack on your body designed to cause maximum alarm. The main component is a compound called melittin. It makes up roughly 40 to 50% of dry bee venom, and melittin does something brutal. It punches holes in cell membranes. Literally, it inserts itself into the walls of your cells and tears them open. Red blood cells, nerve cells, muscle cells. Melittin does not discriminate. The destruction of those cell walls releases a cascade of signals, distress signals, that your nervous system reads as intense, burning pain. That burning sensation you feel after a sting. That is your cells being dismantled at the molecular level. But melittin is only the opening act. The venom also contains an enzyme called phospholipase A2, one of the most allergenic substances found in any insect venom. This enzyme amplifies the damage melittin started. It breaks down the fats in your cell walls even further, making the tissue around the sting site increasingly vulnerable. And then there is apamin, a compound that crosses into your nervous system and amplifies pain signals directly. Your nerves do not just report the damage once, they keep firing. That throbbing, pulsing ache that outlasts the initial burn. That is apamin at work. Here is the part that most people do not realize. A significant portion of the pain you feel from a bee sting is not caused by the venom alone. It is caused by your own immune response. When melittin destroys those cells, your immune system recognizes an invasion and floods the area with histamine. Histamine causes blood vessels to dilate and become leaky. Fluid rushes in. The tissue swells. Nerve endings that were not even directly touched by the venom are now compressed and irritated by that swelling. This is why the pain from a bee sting can actually get worse in the minutes after the sting. Not better. Your immune system is escalating the fight. For most people, this response is uncomfortable but manageable. But for roughly 1 to 3% of the population, the immune response goes catastrophic. The body reads the venom as an existential threat and triggers anaphylaxis, a systemic reaction that can shut down breathing within minutes. A single sting, 1 millimeter of barbed chitin, and for some people that is enough. Entomologist Schmidt spent years deliberately letting insects sting him and rating the pain. His scale runs from 1 to 4. The honeybee scores a 2. Schmidt described it as, and this is a real scientific description, burning, corrosive. But you can handle it. A flaming match head lands on your arm and is quenched first with lye and then sulfuric acid. For comparison, the bullet ant scores a 4. The absolute top of the scale. Schmidt called it pure, intense, brilliant pain, like walking over flaming charcoal with a 3-inch nail embedded in your heel. The tarantula hawk wasp, a predator of spiders the size of your hand, also scores a 4. Schmidt's description: blinding, fierce, shockingly electric. The honeybee is a 2. But do not let that fool you, because the honeybee has something the bullet ant and the tarantula hawk do not. Numbers. A single honeybee colony can contain up to 80,000 workers. In a defensive swarm, hundreds or thousands of bees can sting within seconds. Africanized honeybees, sometimes called killer bees, are genetically almost identical to European honeybees. Their venom is not stronger, but they respond to perceived threats faster, in greater numbers, and they pursue threats for longer distances. Deaths from bee stings in the United States are estimated at somewhere between 50 and 100 per year. The majority from allergic reactions, some from sheer volume of stings. One sting from a honeybee is painful and survivable for most. 500 stings can deliver enough venom to be dangerous for anyone, regardless of allergy. So why does a honeybee sting at all? Knowing it will die, because it is not protecting itself, it is protecting the colony, the queen, the larvae, the 80,000 siblings that share its genes. The honeybee is essentially a flying component of a superorganism. Its individual death means almost nothing to the genetic survival of the hive. What matters is that the threat is neutralized or scared away. The barbed stinger that causes the bee to die. In thick-skinned animals like bears, the bee's most ancient threat, a smooth stinger would simply pull out cleanly and cause minimal damage. The barb is an adaptation. It locks the stinger in, delivers maximum venom to a large predator, and the tearing alarm pheromones, released when the bee dies, signal the rest of the colony to attack. The dying bee is not a casualty. It is a signal. So, why does a honeybee sting hurt so much? Because melittin tears your cells apart at the molecular level, forcing your nervous system to scream damage signals you cannot ignore. Because phospholipase A2 and apamine amplify that destruction, chemically and neurologically. Because your own immune system joins the attack, flooding the wound with histamine and turning a localized injury into a throbbing, swelling alarm. And because the stinger keeps working long after the bee is gone, a self-operating venom machine locked into your skin. The honeybee is not the most venomous creature on Earth. It is not even close. But its sting is a masterpiece of biological engineering, designed not to kill, but to teach, to make the pain so memorable, so unmistakable, that whatever disturbed the hive never comes back. It worked on bears for millions of years. It still works on us. If you want to know which insect venom actually can stop a human heart, and what it feels like to be stung by the animal at the very top of the Schmidt scale, that video is next. Subscribe so you do not miss it.